talk about some of the most iconic programs from 2000 and beyond.
Yeah, and like, so we each picked one program from each discipline, which meant a lot of our faves got cut, but for the interest of time, like, we know that we didn't get everyone's favorite programs on this list, and, you know, we're sorry in advance, but, you know, we had to limit it.
Iconic is a pretty loaded term, so it's more, because, you know, obviously everyone has, figure skating is subjective, so our favorite programs might not be yours, and, you know, that's perfectly fine, because, you know, everyone has their own opinion.
All right, so the first program that I picked for the ladies, or I shouldn't say the first program that I picked for the ladies, I picked one program for the ladies, was Michelle Kwan's Tosca, specifically the performance at the 2004 Nationals. So good. It was one of her very best performances ever, which is really saying something coming from her. It has my favorite step sequence from her, and I'm a big step sequence lover, so, you know, for me that's like super important, and it's one of her best. It's straight line. She kind of does a running thing. That's not very technical, but deal with it.
I love it. I love running step sequences. We don't get much of those anymore.
It's not rewarded under the current judging system, which is a shame, because it's an iconic moment. And she just leaves her whole heart out there. As, you know, it's one of her greatest moments. And she's just an iconic skater for me. She's the best spirals I've ever seen. I will not debate on that. She's the queen of spirals. The end. Goodbye.
I love her face at the very end of that program. Like, it's just like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, she's fierce.
She knew.
She just did that.
I mean, she's the GOAT for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least the GOAT.
Also, like, she has, you know, 5 times world champion. Wow.
5-time world championship.
Wow.
She did not finish off the podium from 1994 to 2005, I want to say. Something like that.
She's a powerhouse. She's a powerhouse. It's fantastic.
Unbelievable. She's amazing. Please, if you're a newer fan and aren't familiar with her, please watch some of her performances. Please, just do it for me.
If you're a new fan to figure skating, she's definitely one of those people who you need to watch, because she's so iconic in the sport for women's.
She's like universally beloved, I feel.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
If you don't like her, I don't like you.
Yeah, that's some really bad taste.
You
don't like Michelle
No
Kwan.
shade. No shade.
Imagine.
I'll block you. You're goodbye. Goodbye. You're not my friend anymore.
My program for the ladies was Una Kim's 2010 Olympic free skate, Gershwin Rhapsody in F. Oh man, I have so many favorite Una programs. Like, I was picking between this one and also Danse Macabre, but then I ended up picking Gershwin just because I just think that this particular piece of music, it's just so incredibly abstract, which I think makes it so much harder to interpret, and yet I love it so much. I'm usually not such a huge fan of really, really abstract music, but Una skating to it, like, just highlights her musicality and her incredible interpretation skills so well. Like, she just sells every moment, and she just looks like she's freestyling through some of it, and, you know, on top of doing some of the most difficult elements, like the Ina Bauer into, like, the double axel, it's just amazing. It just really, and then considering the circumstances of that moment, you know, we talk about iconic programs in terms of like the program itself, but also in terms of like the circumstances, like why are they so well known through history? You know, maybe it's at the Olympics, it was like an Olympic moment. Like, this was an Olympic moment for sure. You know, she was under
one of the
so
best
much
Olympic
pressure.
performances ever.
I'm pretty sure that's what Sandra Bezic said too, you know?
It was. It genuinely was. It's one of the most memorable for me. She had so much pressure on her. She was the unanimous favorite going in. She had her entire country watching her, and she just delivered on the best possible.
Oh, what a way to deliver. What a way to deliver.
Yeah, I always thought that Una was like the definition of how technique lends itself to artistry. Like, she had perfect jumps, gorgeous spins, incredible
Textbook
musicality.
jumps.
Textbook, yeah.
Her opening triple Lutz, oh my.
The height on her jumps is just phenomenal.
She doesn't hesitate. It's incredible.
She really doesn't. That's another thing that I love about Una, is that how seamless her skating is. Like, you'll see, you know, it doesn't seem like this is choreographed. It just seems like she just got on the ice and it was just off the top of her head, and she's just going.
Interpretation through the roof.
It feels like she's painting on a blank canvas is the way I view that program.
I totally agree with that metaphor, just because, like, the abstract nature of the music and then the way that she moves across the ice, you know.
And to see her face at the end, like, Yuna was always a pretty stoic competitor, you know, back in, like, the... Yeah,
you
but
knew
her
that
face
was a
at the end.
big moment, yeah.
Yeah, like, just watching her finally break down it's indescribable.
Yeah. Still the benchmark to me for a 150 plus.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, the scoring system has changed since then, but...
It holds up. It holds up.
It held up for 6 years, right?
I feel like if she performed that today, she would still have been able to, you know, hold up against the newer skaters. And that just shows how good she is. Is that
Timeless.
If she went back into competition today, she would be able to hold up against these, you know, the newer girls. And that's just so amazing. And I just love Yuna. I'm sorry. Okay, continue.
No, I think we're good.
So I'm going to talk about another Olympic ladies free skate, which is quite bittersweet. It was Mao Asada's Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2, which she skated in Sochi. And, oh, where do I begin with this? So just to know, like, to turn on, like, your TV on the day of the free skate and see Mao Asada sitting in 16th place after the short program. In no world that I lived in did I imagine anything like that would ever happen. And we knew that she'd been struggling with the triple axel all season. Like, we knew it was inconsistent. But just to see her so devastated after that short program.
Yeah, it's like, it's sort of one of those moments where just like, you could have had it all, you know?
Right.
She, not Adele. She could have really just, sorry. She could have, you know, been on the podium. But just, you know, after the short program, you see, you know, as Kite said, you see that she was in 16th place, and it's like, what universe am I living in? This is fake. This isn't wrong. This isn't
similar,
right, sorry.
So similar to, like, you know, seeing Nathan like that as well. Except, you know, with Mao, she knew that this was most likely going to be her last Olympics. I mean, Nathan, I don't want to, like, project so far ahead since, you know, it's 4 years from now.
Well,
but
he's
Nathan
planning
is so
on going
young.
to 2022.
He's very young.
Yeah, he's planning to go for it. But, you know, Mao, at the time, she was 24?
She was 23. She was 23. She's my
okay,
age. So
yeah,
she's 23.
yeah. And being 27, you know, being 27 and a lady single skater is obviously still doable. Like, Carolina exists.
Shout out to Carol. I love her.
God
We
bless
love
you,
her.
Carol.
But, you know, you don't know at that point. Like, your chances slim down so much. And, you know, she knew that this was her best chance to get the Olympic gold and to, you know, see her redemption.
And she really had, she had nothing to lose at this point. Like, she stuck with her planned layout, even though it hadn't really worked out for her at all in the previous season ever. And, I mean, she hit every jump. We know that for a fact. But it's really, like, the final step sequence, I think, that just, at best, I will say this, like, I will say best lady step sequence ever. In all,
I agree.
I agree. She's just incredibly musical. And we knew that already, but just to see...
Her musicality is it's just off the charts. You see her skating, and it just, she feels the music, and then she makes you, you know, you feel whatever she's feeling just because of the way she's skating. It's hard to explain, but just watching her skate, it was like knowing what she's been through with, like, the short program, and how there really was no way, you know, for her to
even just her entire life, her entire career, how she had to work up her jumps from the start, how she's kind of always been lowballed on PTS throughout her career, in my opinion. Even her personal struggles, and just seeing it all come together in that moment, for her to truly just let out her emotions was incredibly moving. It makes me cry almost every time I watch it. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's Mao.
Especially
I love
with
her.
her face at the end, it's like...
Her face at the end is just, oh my goodness.
That's an Olympic moment. Like, when you think of an Olympic moment, that's what I picture.
So the program that I chose was for Yulia Lipnitskaya, and it was her short program for Rostelecom with Les Feux Morts. I'm butchering that. Wait,
You're
can
good,
I
you're
redo
good.
that?
You're
Alright,
good. You're good.
Okay, I'm sorry if I butchered that to all the French speakers out there, but I just, she's. My biggest problem with most Russian lady skaters is that I don't feel anything when I watch them skate, right? That doesn't seem important. It's just like, just watch for the technicality and stuff, right? But those people aren't really the ones that are remembered later on in the years for their technicality. People watch figure skating is also a very artistic sport. So Yulia, all right, first of all, let's get, the technical stuff out of the way. Her jumps were perfect. Her spins, amazing. Her flexibility and just...
Oh, through the roof, man.
Her flexibility...
that hyperextended...
It frightens me just a little bit, but in a good way.
Her extension is just... She has one of the best extensions out there. Don't fight me, because she's so flexible and she uses it, right? She uses it to help her with her skating. And just coming off of how... everything else going on in her life, and how after the Olympics, her skating career sort of took a bit of a nosedive because of health reasons, and with her coach and everything, and just to see her come out and just skate how people remembered her skating, her just everything about. I say a lot. I'm sorry. Just everything about her program. It's so graceful and it's so seamless, and just she's floating on the ice, and just watching her, it just brings joy to me, because her musicality is phenomenal, and
she's just incredible. I always did feel, even when she was 15 years old, like that Yulia did have a lot of innate musicality. She had beautiful arm movements, her spins were really gorgeous, was definitely a lot more unpolished by the time she reached Rostelecom, but you could still see that musicality come out.
Yeah, I feel like her skating skills had just improved immensely, even from the Olympics 2 years before. She improved quite a bit in just those 2 years. It was really beautiful to see.
Also, the variations in her spins are always a joy to watch, because it's like...
She has the most wonderful positions.
She
so
really
good.
does.
Yeah,
she really does.
Her spins are incredible,
Okay, so... For the men, I chose Daisuke Takahashi's Swan Lake, aka Cyber Swan.
Woo, yes.
Yes.
Basically, I could have chosen literally anything Dai ever did, because he's just the best. But I went with Cyber Swan just because if there was one program that I love to show people who aren't really into skating, this is the one. It's so entertaining. It's so unique. The step sequence is obviously it's iconic, and there are two of them. There's two different footwork sequences, and they're both just, he's a rock star. He's just completely owns it. It's so innovative. There's never been anything like it before. There hasn't been anything like it since. Nobody could do that but him. He's the king. I love him.
That's something I love about his program, is because it's like he added a variation, a hip-hop-ish variation to a classic, and he made it work. It wasn't cringy, because you see some programs where they try to, mash in different types of music, and it just doesn't work. And, his costume, and just obviously his footwork.
That was a lot. It was a lot of costume.
Listen, the hair was amazing.
But it worked.
It worked so well, yeah. You don't see a lot of hip hop in figure skating, let alone hip hop.
Hip hop Warhorse, amazing.
Hip hop War. He literally remixed it with Beyonce. God bless him. And he looks like a Johnny's Idol.
Yep.
He's just everything you could want. So entertaining, so genuinely good. His jumps are at his best at that point, in my opinion.
And just his charisma throughout the whole performance. It's because I feel like had anyone else done that performance, it would have been so strange, because he had that smug look in his face. He's just like, you know what? I know what I'm doing right now, and I know that I'm amazing you, and that just makes you enjoy the performance even more, because it's just like, you know what? This dude is doing that, and no one else can do that.
One of my favorite things about it is just the crowd. It's just, they're just losing their minds like they're at a concert or something, and it's so cool. He just brings that reaction out of you. He was so special.
It's so amazing, because you know what, honestly, if I was in that crowd, I would have lost it as well.
Wouldn't we all? He deserves it. He deserves every single thing. I also, He's the king of musicality. Whenever someone asks for a definition of musicality in figure skating, I find it hard to say. So I'll just say, just watch a Dai program and you'll understand. He feels it. He feels it in every movement. So God bless him. I love him.
Next one. So my men's program, I just had to include Alexei Yagudin's Winter from the 2002 Olympics. Yes, I know that it's really, really famous.
It's famous for a reason.
Yeah, it's famous for a reason.
Like, there's a reason that, 16 years later, we still talk about it.
I mean, it has such iconic footwork. Like, he was such a footwork master. I mean, back in the 6.0 system, there was a lot more flexibility with footwork. It gave the skaters a lot more artistic liberty with the step sequences, even though it didn't necessarily mean that skaters took advantage of that.
No, that should always be mentioned. There's a lot of garbage.
He did. And like, I just love step sequences that make use of like edges and toe picks, which is why I love like, yes.
So clean.
So clean.
Just when he went, as soon as he goes into that step sequence, just everyone just goes wild because they know they're seeing something.
It was lit. I mean, I already have mad
It was lit. The only way to describe it was lit.
I have mad respect to anyone who skates to Europop. Like, I also love that he just bends down and throws snow in the air. Like,
oh my god, it's so dramatic.
Iconic.
It's amazing. It's just like throwing snow everywhere and just like, what is going on?
Yeah,
but
and
this is happening at the Olympics, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but now obviously with the IJS, like, everyone is concerned with getting like level 4s on their step sequences. Yeah, like you need to have like 11 different difficult turns and steps, which means like there's less toe picking under the system because you have to get those turns in.
Again, and that's so disappointing.
Difficult steps, yeah. So like winter step sequence is probably not going to score super high under IJS, which is unfortunate because we're sacrificing the aesthetic for the points.
Not even just the aesthetic, because it's not exactly an easy step sequence.
No, it's
not an easy step sequence.
It's like literally half of it is on his toes.
Exactly. His use of his toe picks is just it's just, you see him and it's just like his feet are just wild. You look at his feet and you're just like, what is going on? What is going on? It's just his toe picks just back and forth. And like, if you don't have good control of your toe picks,
you're gonna go flying.
You're gonna go flying. You're gonna fall flat on your face. But you know what? He didn't, because
he's the king.
So my pick for men's program was actually Jeff Buttle's Adios Nonino from 2008 Worlds. It was his short program, and it's not as well known as either Cyber Swan or Winter. But personally, I found it iconic. A, because of just the music cut he used. That Adios Nonino is a tango music. It's, I would consider it a warhorse, personally. It is used quite frequently in skating.
It's warhorse adjacent.
Yeah. But he actually kind of strays a little bit from the traditional path of how this music sounds and uses an all-piano version, which makes it a lot more romantic. And so the way he interprets it is quite different. He doesn't really interpret it as a tango so much as kind of like a ballet, and his movements across the ice are very balletic. And you can see, especially in the step sequence, the influence that his skating has on the choreography that he does now. And
definitely, he passes it down.
And I personally feel like Jeff is kind of overlooked.
Oh, he's definitely overlooked. Like, people appreciate him for his choreography, but when his skating, I feel like he has some of the best
beautiful
postures.
Footwork.
Beautiful footwork, and also his posture. His posture. A lot of people don't look at the posture of skaters, and some skaters have. It's not awful posture, obviously, but you see Jeff while he skates. The way when you watch him skate, it's just so. His posture is fantastic.
He was quite close to the total package, I think. Like his jumps were strong, his spins were good. Interpretation incredible, and it's really a shame that he's not, I guess, appreciated more as a skater. Especially like in Canada, because right after Jeff, like Patrick Chan came along, and I think he tends to kind of get overlooked. And I think this program is really a testament to the fact that he was a great skater, as well as a world famous choreographer now.
So, the program that I chose for men's, it's very important to me. It's very near and dear to my heart, and I feel like it encapsulates men's figure skating. The program I chose is Plushenko's Sex Bomb.
Wow, I can't believe I have to leave now. It's been real, guys.
Wow.
It's good.
True art.
No.
Beauty.
It's jokes.
Iconic
I'm joking.
images.
I would never. That program is abysmal. And alright, the program I chose is Guys and Dolls by Javier Fernandez, and just this is one of my favorite programs by him because it just, first of all, it just when he skated this, one, he wasn't able to get his skate on beforehand, and then he just goes on and performs this fantastic, program, and everyone was just going wild about it because the crowd, like, they stood up before he even finished, and it made sense why, because one, all his jumps were absolutely perfect, pitch perfect. His landings, the air position, every single thing was amazing. His choreography, it was playful, it was charismatic, and his skating has this charm, which is hard to see because, people talk about, feminine, skaters that are more feminine and skaters that are more masculine. I feel like Javi is one of those skaters who has like a perfect mixture of both because he's not clunky like some skaters are. He has that grace that people see with more feminine, male skaters. And just, this is one of those programs where the lyrics actually help with the whole entire program, and just this, he has this, this suaveness to him, his charisma, and just, he's a very his musicality is, it's great, and I feel like people sort of brush that off for him, but even though he's fantastic with that, his choreo was, his choreo was fantastic, and I just, overall, you just see this, it's just such an enjoyable program to watch, and then you see him, and people are just, he wasn't always the favorite to win, he's never the favorite. He wasn't the favorite to win.
He's the Euro god.
Listen, that's Euros. Euros, he's the king of Euros.
Forever Euro champion.
He is my Euro champion forever and ever. But he was not the favorite to win, and there's reason behind it. But he just came out and he skated like it was an exhibition. He was just, it was like so nonchalant. It felt like he just came on and he's just, being playful and, flirting with the crowd, and just, the crowd was obviously loving it, and the judges were obviously loving it, and you see the score he gets, and you're like, he deserves it. It was just such a fantastic program.
Yeah.
One of the best performers ever that I've ever seen. He just brings it every time. He has so much charisma, so much charm, just super likable. Everything that's good.
On to the pairs. All right, Lo, you want to start us off?
All right, so the pair that I'm going to talk about, and I'm really sorry to anyone who might be Russian because I know that I'm going to butcher this name, but I'll be talking about Sikaru Litze and Berezhnaya's short program in 2002 that was Lady Khalif. And for me, this pair is mostly known now for being at the center of the Salt Lake City judging scandal, which is a really big shame because they are so beautiful together. They're the most in sync, in unison pairs team I think I've ever seen in my life. And they have such gorgeous chemistry. Like, they look like they're just falling in love out on the ice. When people say that about Virtue and Moyer all the time, that's how I feel about these two. So gorgeous, and the jumps are super good for, the era. The death spirals I prefer the death spirals of the 6.0 era. I think they're more aesthetically pleasing, and these ones are very much the case as well. And my biggest skating hot take ever probably is that I don't necessarily care that much about the Salt Lake City scandal because I do skate.
Bringing the heat.
Controversy.
Hot take. I do care about the.
Lowe's about to get blocked.
Yeah, about to get blocked by all of Canada, but sorry, these guys deserved to win the first time. They did. Like, no offense to the Canadian pairs, they just weren't as good. Even with the judging nonsense.
I'm sort of disappointed that, like, when you showed it to us, that was the first time I saw it. And I'm like, I've been watching figure skating for 4 years. Why have I not ventured back more and seen this? Because whenever I heard about them, it was just always something negative.
Yeah.
And then I see them, performing, and it's just like their spins.
They're beautiful
perfect.
together. They're
Yeah.
wonderful.
They're so insane.
Definitely deserve to win the short
Yeah,
program.
they definitely deserve.
It was
also
above and
shout out to the
beyond.
costume. Those costumes, like the color
So gorgeous.
that they chose. Oh, it's like the new.
Their programs in general were just a lot more intricate, I think, than the Canadians, Soleil and Peltier. And I just really, really love that it was just so intricate and musical, and yet they still had so much chemistry, and the technical elements were also really, really strong as well. And it's a shame that they get looked over a lot. My favorite pair of all time, everyone who knows me knows that they're my favorite pair of all time. It's Shen and Zhao. They're 2003 World Championship free skate to Turandot. It's like, it's iconic. It's the OG Turandot, I think.
The best.
Should have been retired after this, honestly.
Yeah, honestly.
Except for Suzuka. Suzuka could skate through too.
True. But like, Shen and Zhao deserve a royalty every time it's skated too. Like,
Yeah. You gotta credit them.
Yeah, no, Shen and Zhao are probably like the most iconic pair of the 2000s. They were dominant for so long. I mean, this was the program that introduced me to pairs. Like when I was 7 years old, like I didn't know pairs was a discipline until I saw Shen and Zhao. And like, they have such incredible chemistry. I mean, they did eventually end up getting married, but like this was even before they even started dating. So, but they were I feel like they were one of the most complete pairs of the 2000s. They had amazing throws, amazing musicality. Honestly, anyone who says that East Asian skaters are not expressive, like, go watch that program and come back to me.
Honestly, the quality was not good, and I could still see that they were very expressive.
It was like filmed on a potato, and it's
so unfortunate because this was the same program that they used like the previous year in 2002, and like there's a high quality version of that video on YouTube.
That's infuriating.
Yeah. But like the program itself, like I really enjoyed that they use a unique music cut. Actually, they include the kind of Chinese influenced music in the middle of that track that people very rarely include. It allowed for a little bit more creativity with the choreography. The lifts, so gorgeous. Again, I think that 6.0 lifts were a lot more aesthetically pleasing. I'm not really a huge fan of like the whole grabbing blades thing. I like the open look, with the legs out.
Agreed. Same.
Whatever. I'm not gonna get too salty about that. And then the Nessun Dorma part, oh my god, gets me so.
Just the music gets me emotional.
Honestly,
yeah.
As soon as the Nessun Dorma part hits, I feel like I get chills and I get emotional.
And the crowd reaction,
so beautiful.
You can like, they start like applauding and they get like a standing ovation like 30 seconds before they even end. And you can hear them, like once they finish the program, you can hear the crowd chanting 6, 6, 6, 6 in the background. And like this was in DC, so it's not even it wasn't even like a hometown crowd, and like this piece is like so legendary that Sui and Han, like they used it for their Olympic skate, obviously, and they even had to ask permission to skate to it. And Zhao Hongbo said, yeah, okay, you can skate to it, but you have to skate to it better than we did. So that's why I really didn't mind that Sui and Han were using it. I knew that this piece was so integral to the Chinese pair's legacy, and like Wenjing said that she was inspired to skate by watching them skate Turandot in the 2002 Olympics. So I mean, that just shows the magnitude. And like before we even move on, I just want to quickly go on like a pair spiel, just because they make me super emotional for like so many reasons. But their coach, Yao Bin, was the first ever Chinese pair skater, and he learned to skate through photographs because, China was censoring Western images and all that, so they really couldn't get a lot of material to learn. And like, he was bad. He was pretty bad. He went to Worlds 3 times in the 80s and placed dead last each time. It was really, really sad. There were like stories about how they were like laughed off the ice, and they were actually like really, really funny. But after he retired, he was like, nope, screw that. I'm going to turn China into a pairs powerhouse. And then 20 years later, Shen and Zhao became the first Chinese pair to ever win an Olympic medal in pairs and the first to win a world title. So, you know, even though the 2003 Worlds, where they won their second world title, is like the most famous iteration, it feels like the culmination of all their hard work, because they kind of messed up in 2002 a little bit. And I just really love the image of Yao Bin crying when they finish. It just really gets me.
When you see, you know, a grown man like that just cry after seeing a performance, you're just like, you know what, this is beautiful, this is amazing. After what you see that performance, and it's just, you know, you're blown away by, first of all, the chemistry between those two. It's just like, you know, I'm not surprised that they got married, but the use of music, their musicality, their, you know, the jumps, the spins, everything is just so, just the whole package was so just robust, and you're like, you know what, this is what pairs skating should be like.
Yep.
And that's saying something.
I have to say that this program also gave me my all-time favorite commentating moment when the British esports guys saw that one of the judges ranked them second in ordinals. He threatened to spank them.
They should be carried off and spanked.
They should be carried off and
They
spanked.
should be carried off
So
and spanked.
good.
Got it.
So good.
You know what?
He's
I
not
agree.
wrong though. Not
He's
wrong.
right. Completely
He's
right.
right.
Amazing. So yeah, that's my favorite commentary moment ever. And will probably never be topped because it's just the most accurate.
Okay, so I am actually going to talk about another Chinese pair, Peng Tong, and I'm going to talk about their 2010 Olympic free skate to Man of La Mancha.
Another
And
tearjerker.
This is actually another one of Yao Bin's pairs. So if we want
Yao
to
Bin
talk about,
outsold.
yeah, if we want to talk about how two of his pairs made it onto the Olympic podium in 2010, we can wild about that. But I mean, overall, it's just an extremely well-constructed program, I thought. It really hit all of the emotional, like, heights of that music.
Absolutely deserved to win the free skate that night. Honestly, Vancouver 2010 was just so good to us. Like, wow.
Certain events were good to us.
I wasn't there for it, unfortunately, but I look back, you know, at it.
That was
and
actually the first
watched
time I
it,
ever
was just-
watched skating, was during Vancouver 2010. That I can remember. So...
This was 2010 was the first time I ever like actively rooted for someone. So like, yeah, like I was so hoping that Shen and Zhao would win and Peng and Tong would be on the podium, and they ended up being 1 and 2, which is like 30 years after Yao Bin like failed miserably at Worlds. He ended up coaching the one. He ended up coaching the gold and silver medalists, and the Russians didn't even make the podium. He literally ended, I think, 12 straight Olympics of Russian-Soviet pair dominance.
The costume with the music, I feel like it added to the whole entire performance, and I feel like a lot of time people sort of like costume is just an aesthetic thing, right? But it's sometimes it's really not. But that's for like a separate, you know, for a separate podcast where I will cry about costumes.
Peng and Tong outsold, Shen and Zhao outsold, so did Yao Bin. So, yep.
Just Chinese pairs outsold.
Yep.
And they have amazing chemistry. It also got married, by the way. So.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Speaking of Chinese pairs,
75%.
Chinese pairs outsold.
Honestly. All right. So I chose Blues for Klug, right? Klug, right?
Yeah.
That's right?
Blues for
Yeah,
Klug.
Blues for Klug.
You got it.
And it's Sui and Han, and this program is just so sensual, and first of all, technical, you know, aspects out of the way, their jumps were fantastic. They were so in sync, and you know, I feel like the performance was made because these two have such an amazing chemistry. First of all, the music piece that they chose is it's very sensual, and when they skated, it just I could keep watching that forever because it was so perfectly done. Every single musical cue, every single, you know, just every spin, every just. I don't know, I can't talk about this because I always get so emo because I'm just like, God, this is just amazing. Alright, but please do add on because I'm just going off on a strange tangent.
I will say that they were inspired by my king, Daisuke Takahashi. They were inspired by his 2012 free skate, which is amazing. And so props to them for having.
And you know what? They brought in. They did. You know, they did it justice. They did it justice.
They definitely did.
Sui and Han are huge Dai stands. So
Exactly.
Intellectuals, as they should be.
Wenjing said that she wanted to skate to Cyber Swan. So, you know, we know that she has
Please
good
make
taste.
this happen. Universe, make it happen.
We deserve this. But, like, yeah, just Sui and Han in general, like, they impress me so much. Like, I just love their aesthetic, you know? Like, everyone talks about how Hansong is, like, you know, a little bit on the smaller side for, like, a pairs dude. But they just look so aesthetically pleasing together, you know?
They
both
have
really
so
similar
power-packed,
lines.
though.
Yeah.
Like, they say, like, you know, he's on the smaller side. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because they're doing the same jumps. They're doing everything, you know. And, like...
He has so much charisma as well. He's a
does.
Really good performer.
They're both very charismatic in their own way. Because,
they're the most equal pair, maybe I've seen in a very long time.
Let's be honest, the person that steals the show is Sui. Because
I mean, you just can't not look at her. But
You can't take her eyes off her.
Yeah.
Like, you can't take your eyes off her.
star.
She's such a star. But again, Han, he's sort of like, I guess you could say, the Rock in their pair, because had she been with anyone else, I feel like it would, like, no one would have been. He makes her shine, you know.
Agreed.
And that's what pairs are supposed to do.
Agreed.
And I just love that.
For dance, I'm going to be talking about Shaylin Bourne and Victor Kratz 2003 and for their Adagio program, because it's truly innovative and a breakout performance for North American ice dance, which had never really been on the scene before these two came along. And also they had the best Hydro Blade you'll ever see. Sorry, I'm cutting this a little bit short because I don't know as much about ice dance as I do about the other disciplines, but this goes off. Shaylin Bourne is a goddess. I love her.
Yeah.
We can all
She's the
agree to
queen.
that.
we agree.
This goes off. It still holds up. I think that they skated in a very modern way. Like, they didn't fit 6.0 as well as they would have fit IJS, in my opinion. And I think that their scores reflected that for the most part, at least in the earlier part of their career. They finally got their due here, and it was awesome.
Yeah. I just really really the version of Adagio that they used, because I'm more used to the orchestral classic version, because Shannon Zhao also skated to it. This one sounds a little bit more I don't know how to explain it.
Almost kind of rocky. I don't know.
It sounds like a video game boss battle music.
I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I love it. It's innovative. My favorite ice dance program would probably be Virtue Moyer's Mahler Symphony No. 5 from Vancouver. Oh my god. What to even say about it? I mean, first of all, Tessa looks so stunning in white. She literally looks like an angel. She's I know a lot of people don't a lot of people don't like white costumes, but it fit this program so much. She looks like an angel, floating on the ice. They float across the ice with so much speed. They have the most difficult creative lifts. That first combo lift, I think it's a curve lift into a rotational lift where he flips her upside down. Oh,
it's
drives me
iconic.
nuts.
I'm
pretty sure it got a perfect +3 GOE across the judges. It deserved it, and it looks so effortless, and which is so hard to do with such a light and ethereal piece. To have such an acrobatic lift look so effortless and easy. I mean, they always did say some of the hardest things to do is to make something effortless look
Difficult look effortless.
Difficult look effortless. Yes, exactly. And it also features their famous Canadian goose lift, and first North American ice dance team to win gold on home ice, youngest Olympic ice dance champions in history. There's nothing more to say. It's such an iconic Olympic moment.
They're also something I love about them both is that they're so expressive. You could honestly just look at their faces throughout the whole program and you would be just as entertained because their facial expressions are phenomenal. But of course you wouldn't just look at their faces because physically they're just such dominating personas in ice dance, and rightfully so.
It's one of the most memorable Olympic performances ever for me. I'll never forget how I felt when I watched it. It was just like you were falling in love. It was just so beautiful and lovely, and Everything that's good about those two as a pair. Still my favorite thing they've ever done.
So my favorite dance program is actually Davis and White's Scheherazade from the Sochi
Also
Olympics. Amazing. They were dominant for 2 seasons, undefeated prior to the Olympics. And just, from the very beginning, that opening curve lift, I think they said that they actually trained that for about 2 years before they ever put in a program, because it was that
entry
difficult.
Is so crazy.
He grabs her by like the wrists and like just lifts her onto his back, and they make it look effortless, like you were saying. And it's
again, it's like she just flew into his, it's amazing.
The choreography in the beginning is also so gorgeous.
The changes in music are really good, I think.
Also, Meryl looks like a Greek goddess.
She does.
Yeah, she looks like Megara from
Hercules. She does, yeah.
Megara from Hercules.
Charlie's also such a good performer. I feel like he gets overlooked a little bit. Like,
I agree.
He's a very, very good performer.
He's fantastic, and I feel like people sort of... I get why, because Meryl is just... She is sort of like... Again, it's like with Sway. It's people
he
sort of
shows her
more,
off very, very well.
Yeah, he does show her off very well.
He knows exactly how to
exudes a lot of charisma himself. Yeah.
But it's like they were the first American dance team ever to win an Olympic gold medal.
They've left a real impact. I miss them.
Yeah, it's like it's an Olympic program. Like when you think of an Olympic program, that's kind of what you think of. Is like it's fitting that it happened with Scheherazade, that they won the Olympic
Meryl
gold
and
medal.
Charlie, please come back. We need you.
They haven't officially retired. It could happen.
True.
If you're listening.
Can they please come back? Honestly, I would cry. Alright, so my pick for dance is Maya and Alex Shibutani for Fix You. And this program... Alright, so with dance, people generally always say, oh, but they're siblings, they can't have that, they can't have that chemistry, right? They don't need that chemistry because they have a different type of chemistry, and that's what makes them so amazing.
It's not sexual chemistry.
Not sexual chemistry.
It doesn't need to be.
And it's beautiful in its own way.
Exactly. It does not need to be. It does not need to be sexual chemistry. And when you first of all, the song in and of itself, Coldplay. It's a very emotional song, and what I love the most about this program is that they hit the musical cues so well. The twizzles into the,
into the guitars,
into the guitar.
So good.
Not only does it give me, it gives me chills every single time. I tear up every single time I see this performance.
Not even
because
just the twizzles, even like the lifts.
Oh, like the lifts, the rotational lift at the end, it was fantastic because
they're really good at using the music to bring the audience into their performance as well.
Their musicality is so amazing, and they're both such expressive skaters. And then
it's just such a shame that because they're siblings, people just think that they're not expressive, but it's really just that they're not exuding sexual chemistry, so a lot of viewers, I guess, traditional viewers are not as, or I guess judges are not as in tune with that.
The thing is, that's where I'm a little bit irked, because they may not show that that romantic chemistry, but they still bring so much creativity to their programs.
It's a really interesting and unique vibe that no one else brings.
I can name so many of their programs where they don't have the romantic chemistry, but they still have such they sort of have to be creative because they have, they're at a disadvantage because people are just like, what, your siblings, you're not going to be able to do the whole ice dance thing unless you are, literally making out on the ice, because that's just what people expect of ice dance, which is very unfortunate because they deserve better scores for the performances for the programs that they produce. And Fix You is by far one of my favorites of all time because of how expressive they are, because of the lifts, because of their twizzles are just the
Queen
best.
Twizzles.
Their twizzles they're so in sync. Maybe because they're siblings, that's why they're so in sync. Take that, ISU.
So for our grand finale, we have collectively decided on one program that we believe to be the most iconic of the 2000s, and that is...
Seimei.
Seimei.
It's Seimei. It's Seimei.
I mean...
what to say? Where to start?
Can we we will start on like the opening note of when the program starts.
That's
his
look
breath
on his face.
No,
like,
that's his breath on the recording.
Yeah.
Even before the music starts, he deliberately put in his own breath, and
Because it calms him down.
It calms him down, and it sort of helps him focus. And that's just such. He's
Like, who does that?
so calculated. He's so calculated. He knows what's gonna help him, and the fact that he edited the music himself.
It's just the amount of detail that he put into the construction, every single part of it, the choreography, the music edits, the costuming, all of these things that it was his passion project. He personally put in so much of his soul into this program. Like, you could really, really feel it. Yeah.
He met the actor from the movie.
Yeah.
Shaylin Bourne watched the movie for him so she could get an idea of what he wanted to portray on the ice.
And it's just so representative of the Japanese culture, which he really, really wanted to, portray. Japanese music is not that often used, or at all.
No,
really
never used almost.
in figure skating. And it's so representative of his culture, which is so minimalist, I think. Doing the most with the least.
And that's such a bold move to sort of stray away from Western music.
Yeah, he knew
which
it
is
was a
obviously,
risk.
It was a huge risk, because if he strayed away from, like, for example, there is an entire segment which is just drums, right? It's just a drum
masterpiece.
beat.
It's a
The
masterpiece
step sequence
in using suspense.
That could be that's such a difficult thing to do, to not have a musical to back you up, music to back you up, and he just went with it, and you see. It's so perfect, and you could see how much effort he put into it, the musicality, again, step sequence, the choreography, everything is just phenomenal.
And the choreo sequence at the end, like, always gets me.
Iconic.
It will.
The Hydro Blade.
Especially in the Olympic skate. Oh
Breaking
my god.
character just for a moment, like right after his spin, you could just see the smile like exuding, like
you could see him grinning, and it's like he knew he did it, and
it was special. Who cares if it wasn't really in sync? It didn't really matter.
That's another thing I wanted to add. It's despite the fact that it was not a perfect, it was not a clean skate, right? He did stumble, his jump, two of his jumps were, and
we still remember it. It'll
the
hold
most
up
memorable.
the test of time.
It's still my favorite performance of that.
Mine too.
That program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same. It's my favorite performance from it's just such a memorable performance, because you see how the road to the Olympics, and all that he's been through, and the fact that everyone was just like, oh, he's not gonna win it.
It really felt like
podium.
It really felt like a victory, like in every sense of the word. I think Brian Orser said it felt like a victory, not just because he won the gold medal, because he conquered himself. He conquered the injury.
He proved himself to everyone who was like, he's not going to be able to do, 2 OGMs. That's
like, no one's done it in 66 years, and he's doing it with a recycled program, and he, he was injured like 3 months ago. He's not going to be on the podium, and then just to win with that program,
it was perfect in its imperfections. I feel like that's the best thing.
There's something so fairy tale like about him winning with his passion project. A program that he put, it's in his blood, that performance.
It's like every program obviously is designed to get like the maximum amount of points it can get, right? But this is one of the few, I think, that felt like it was more than just a means to an end.
All right, the next episode will be hosted by Tilda, Yogita, Gina, and Red, and they'll be discussing the proposed rule changes that may be approved by the ISU Congress, which, again, is June 4th through 8th, and will be live streamed on the ISU Skating YouTube channel.
If you want to get in touch with us, then please feel free to contact us via Twitter at InTheLowPodcast or on Tumblr at InTheLowPodcast.tumblr.com. Thanks for listening. This has been Kite,
Iman,
Low,
and Kat. See you soon.